What's up, everybody? Big Herc here for another edition of Prison Talk, and today I want to go over some prison slang with you. I always get viewers commenting, "What does that mean? What's that term? Can you talk English? Can you break it down for me, or whatever the case may be?" So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a couple of definitions because it's better to know than to not know, and you want to be able to understand the language if you ever get caught up in a situation which requires you to know this information. So, mainline. Mainline is the part of a prison where the general population lives. So, when somebody says, "Oh, hit mainline," that means you're going to general population. The SHU, the segregated housing unit where you go for disciplinary security reasons, also called the hole. So when people say, "Yeah, I spent X amount of time in the SHU," or I had to go to the hole, that's what they're talking about. It's for segregated housing, and you have very limited resources in there. You're in the cell usually 23 hours. You might get an hour of rec if you're lucky, and you get to go out and shower probably every other day if you're behaving. So that's what the SHU consists of. SHANK. SHANK is a homemade knife. They come in all shapes and sizes. People make them out of cardboard, out of plastic, out of metal, out of chicken bones. Shanks could be anything that somebody can use to sharpen up as an object, a toothbrush, and stick somebody. A piece. A piece is your personal knife. For example, I got my piece on me. And what that means is that's your shank that you personally carry around to protect yourself, or if you feel that you're going to have conflict with somebody. But usually when somebody says, "Hey, I got my piece," that means they're strapped, ready to go. Strapped is when you're carrying your piece on you. So I'm strapped up now, don't trip. So there you go. That's when you're on a yard and you say you're strapped up. Shit kicks off. You're going to shank somebody. You're not going to have your piece on you in a riot and not use it, and that's the main reason why people have that, is to stick somebody in a situation which requires violence. Huila is slang, Spanish word for message. Usually comes in a small piece of paper with orders on it to do something. So I had a lot of Hispanic homies in the pen, and Huila was something they always pass around, and I didn't get involved in what those things entailed, but had messages, it had information, and it had instructions, and you got to carry those out if one is passed to you for whatever particular reason. KITE. KITE is a message usually on a small piece of paper, aka a Huila. So somebody shoots you a kite. It could be from another institution. It could be from a homie in another unit. It could be from somebody from the street that's sending a message. You can be sending a message out in the kite. It's just a term used for a message that you're transferring from one person to another. Canine, slang for the police or correctional officers. Canines is coming. That's the popos. That's what they call the popos up in there, or the correctional guards. The canine. Civilians. Civilians is a code for inmates that aren't part of any gang or affiliation. So if you roll up in an institution or a jail and you're like, "Hey, I'm a civilian. I don't get down. I'm not part of no clique, no gang," whatever the case may be. Usually they have a civilian area where you can eat at and not have to worry about any hostility. Otherwise, if you sit at certain tables or if you go to certain parts of the yard, they're designated for certain cliques, certain gangs. So you better know where you're sitting at, who you're dealing with, and what this person is mixed up in. Because as a civilian, you don't want to get caught up in a situation which requires you to defend yourself with another gang member. Because by you defending yourself and watching your homeboys back, now you become involved in whatever beef is going on with that particular clique and the other gang. So if you're a civilian, you got to be aware of your surroundings. Spread. Spread is a meal usually put together by a group of inmates, and the ingredients vary. So, if you watched Prison Spreads, Chef V, he puts together a lot of different dishes, Chinese food, pizza, I did a top ramen and eggs. These are, we would spread those out. You'd usually have a bag, a garbage bag you'd cut open, you put the food on there, and sometimes everybody would eat like a communal type of thing, or sometimes we dish it out in bowls. But that was a spread that was shared by multiple group of people that enjoyed each other's company and would share food. PRUNO. PRUNO was alcohol made by inmates using fermented fruit and sugar. If you watch I believe it's the Christmas edition of Spreads, we have an episode where we actually make PRUNO, and you can see on that episode how PRUNO's made. And I talk about it on another episode of Prison Talk about selling PRUNO in prison and how it can be a dangerous game. So, PRUNO is alcohol in prison. Being hot. Someone that is hot is a person that's cooperated with the government for a lesser sentence or told on someone. If you're hanging out with somebody and you find out they're hot, you better distance yourself from them, because by you associating with that person, you're going to be assumed to be hot. And once you are a hot boy in prison, it's not good. You're going to get, somebody might stick you just for the hell of it to make a name for themselves. You might get caught up in some drama related to whoever that person told on if you're hanging out with them, because if they're hot and they're in general pop and somebody finds out, especially if they're clicked up and it becomes exposed, they're going to get punished, and you're going to get punished for hanging out with them. So avoid hot boys in prison. CHOMO. CHOMO is a child molester, but used to describe anybody with a sexual offense other than rape. So if somebody says, hey, that guy's a CHOMO, you don't want to be kicking it with him. You don't want to be associated with a CHOMO. You don't want to be called a CHOMO. It's not a good term for you in prison, and you want to avoid people that are known as CHOMOs. Putting in work is somebody that is down to do whatever is necessary for their group. Could be with or without weapons. So if you're putting in work in prison, that means you were active. You were putting hands on fools. You were maybe sticking people. You were representing. You were basically in the thick of things. So if somebody says, yeah, homeboy be putting in work, you know he's about his business. And you want to know that that's not somebody you should be fucking with. A rep is the representative of a particular group. So say they said, oh, that guy's a rep right there. That means that he's just not necessarily a gang member, but he represents that clique to some degree. So maybe he has some type of ranking within that clique. So, know who your reps are. And usually when you hit a yard or hit a jail, people appoint these people out. Building a channel. It's basically the homie in your building or unit that is in charge of everything that happens in that particular building. So if you're in, a housing unit and, something's going down or something's happening, that person basically building a channel, he's in charge of whatever is transpiring there. And they usually have, certain individuals based on race or gang affiliation that are in charge of these things, that are running whatever units or representing those units. Posting up. That's when your homeboy watches out for you while you do something that leaves you exposed. Posting up might be when you have a homeboy standing outside the shower while you shower. It might be while you're getting a tattoo. It might be while you're doing something that could get you caught up. Whether it's making a shank or making pruno or putting hands on somebody. Whatever the case may be, talking on a cell phone, post it up, that's a lookout, and people have people posting up all the time, and they're usually non-discreet, so it's not like they're obviously looking out, but they're looking out.